Hey, this is Trinity, and you're listening to Necessary Truth Radio. So, I wanted to kind of discuss something that we're leaving in the background. This is concerning the U.S. dollar because everybody seems to be confused about how this whole financial thing works, and I am just as confused. So, be the superpower, I'm guessing, is awesome, right? It's called superpower. So this money can be used anywhere. If I'm simplifying it, I'm simplifying it. It is 5:34 in the morning, so bear with me, guys. Okay, so from my understanding, there have been countries that have been trying to get away from the dollar for eons, right? A lot of people have been close. In my next episode, I'm going to cover exactly who they were, how close they got, and what happened to them. We're going to talk about Iran today. So, Iran has literally been super close to getting away from the dollar, and that had a lot to do with the Strait of Hormuz, right? So, I'm going to read a little bit here so we can have a better understanding on why this is going down and why Cheeto decided to go in at this point, and now he's begging everyone for help. So prior to the escalating conflict, Iran appeared to be taking steps to detach its economy from the US dollar. This move aligns with broader trends observed among several countries attempting to diminish reliance on the dollar in the international trade. Iran was facing the sanctions, right? We already knew about that stuff because he was doing that to everybody. But they have been bilateral agreements, right? So Iran has engaged in discussions with other nations, particularly with the BRICS framework, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, to conduct trade in their respective currencies. This effort was partly motivated by countries like China, which had begun purchasing Iranian oil in the renminbi. If I said that wrong, I'm really sorry. And then promotion of alternative currencies. So the Iranian government has been advocating for the use of other currencies, especially the euro and the renminbi, in its dealings, reflecting a concerted strategy to undermine the dominance of the dollar. So yeah, okay, I'm just gonna keep going. I'll give you my thoughts on it in a second. As the conflict escalates, right now, everybody seems to be running for the hills, but they don't know which direction to go. So every time Cheeto makes a mistake, they, every time he says, "Hey, I'll be over at 6," and he tells you that every day and he comes at 7 and then 8 and then midnight, you learn not to just trust anything he says. We're at that point right now. We're there where nobody is trusting what he's saying. So I'm gonna read some of this, and I'm gonna tell you what he did in the last 3 days and why things are out of control. So investors turn to the US dollar as a safe haven, which strengthened the dollar during the conflict, right? So, yes, when this first started, they were like, oh, the US is going to kick their ass, and everybody bet on us. Oh, little did they know. When he decided that he was going to keep throwing it in their face to say, hey, let's make a deal, he said no because he assumed that they were never going to close the Strait of Hormuz. Now it's closed and filled with mines. Now everything's fluctuating. Oil is ridiculous. So, by him going in there and doing what he wanted to do, knowing we didn't know because I didn't know that Iran was so close. Like everybody has already been doing this for the last year, just trying to get away from him. We've been seeing it out in the public, but this is the kind of stuff that's been going on in the background. But after he blew shit up. Now the dollar is dominant again, right? Because there's global instability. We can't leave the dollar halfway. It it's stupid, but it's brilliant at the same time. Okay? So these are the people that he's working with. He's working with the countries that already give him information. I already had it here. Where did it go? Okay, check this out. So he's not that well, they're not the only one. So I'm gonna give you a little bit on who else is doing it and then see if any of these people or any of these countries make any type of sense to what's happening. Russia. Okay? Accelerated de dollarization following Western sanctions in response to its actions in Ukraine. They developed the system for transfer of financial message, or SPFS, as an alternative to SWIFT. moved towards settlements in rubles and Yuan, yeah, probably, especially for energy exports. And then we have China, promoted the yuan. Okay, that's the renminbi for regional trade, particularly in energy and commodities. They engaged in direct trade agreements using the yuan, notably with Saudi Arabia and Iran, and facilitated Chinese banks in conducting trade deals in yuan. I know I'm not saying that right. And then we have India, instituted the rupee ruble settlement mechanism with countries like Russia, encouraged bilateral trades in local currencies to reduce reliance on dollar dominated transactions. Brazil, they had agreements with China for the UN and the reis. Oh, Jesus Christ. Focused on diversifying its foreign reserves to reduce dependence on the dollar. Then we have Turkey, and it increased its trade with Russia and China in Lira, working on shifting parts of its trade settlements away from the dollar, even amid ongoing reliance. And then we have Iran, which we already discussed. Everybody's already been doing this. This isn't like I, he's already. I want to say he doesn't know. I want to say he doesn't know. I really, 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 really do. I want to say that everybody in this cabinet is completely stupid and ignorant and they don't know anything. And I don't think that's the case. Oh, just in my bones, I don't want to say that, but that's not the case. That's not the case. So we already pretty much get the gist of it, right? We're over there. It's about it's about the oil. Don't get me wrong. It is about the oil. Did he go in there gung ho thinking that he was going to win? Yes, absolutely. It's not going to work out the way he wants it to work out. It can't work out because it's not supposed to. This isn't the purpose of this entire thing. Being the no longer being the superpower. Do you okay? We haven't been the superpower for a really long time. We have these giant worldwide financial institutions, right? Something the one I learned about a long time ago was like the S&P, right? And it's pretty much a worldwide credit score. So we owe countries money. We just sit around here. We just trade money like monopoly. When you're on the S&P, the same way that you would buy a car, and then depending on your payments, is the rating that you get. Our rating has been trash for years. We're actually known as one of the countries not to lend money to because we don't pay back. And this is before Cheeto came in. So could you imagine where he got here? He can't pay the garbage guy. You think he's trying to pay anybody else back? No. And the proof of that is that every time he came on TV, when he came back, he was like, well, we already did enough. And it was because every country was like, listen, we're in rotation. Today's your day to pay your money back. China paid me back. Then Russia paid something. They went around in circles. And now it was his turn to put money in the pot. And he decided to be like, no, we already been paying enough money. We don't have to pay anymore. So what did that do? That took the dollar and it just made it go down and down. Every time he turned around, said we weren't going to do it, and then they had the audacity to start giving people ultimatums and throwing tariffs around. And then they were like, okay, so this is just going to get worse and worse and worse. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. Pay attention to the dollar. I don't have any money, so I'm not worried about losing any money in that kind of a way. But if you're investing in anything, pay attention, at least to the S&P. Pay attention to the dollar. Other countries already know what's going on. They're televising it in their countries, exactly what's going on in the White House, going on beyond, behind the scenes. I will be doing a show in a little bit about that. Just pay attention to everything that's going on. They don't want you to know that the dollar is literally collapsing and it's doing it worldwide. And if he doesn't get anybody to come and help him, then there's no other choice. If they have to buy more bombs, if Israel's already like, hey, we're running out of shit, we need re ups, we already wasted a whole bunch of our stuff. When we don't have it and we need to borrow money to get it, then there's a problem because every country is going to be like, no, you defaulted on everything else. Why would we give you more money? And they're definitely not going to give us any what's that called? Any weapons. For what? They're going to be like, if we give it to you, you're going to try to use it on us. So, what are the ultimatums if something like this went down? Only choice, and this is the best choice for him right now, is the only way he'd get that money and not look like a punk bitch is if he took every single program in this country and then put it into military projects, which could never happen. Listen, nobody's doing anything. You hear me? Nobody. I've never seen so many bitches in power in my life. This is crazy. This is why I ignored politics for most of my life because this is upsetting. This is why I don't get like in that part. I'll go into these kinds of parts. I explain it in this kind of way, why it makes it serious. For me, it's serious because I understand it this way. I don't give a shit if he farted on TV. That doesn't matter to me. If we run out, nobody will give us anything. He will have no choice but to take every single dime in this country. And I'm telling you, nobody's gonna take that. And I know. Oh my god, it sounds like a broken fucking record. You know why it sounds like a broken record? Because I already thought this was gonna stop. I already thought this was gonna stop. I know more about this dude's bowel movements than I know about the Democrats doing anything. I would be kicking indoors. I would be one woman ice machine going around taking petals out of their houses. I would go and find those files and read them one by one from the rooftops. They're not doing it because nobody gives a shit. They don't want the files to come out. He would have to take everything, and I mean everything. You know who's the only ones they're going to have? Are the people that are backing him now. The Bezos and the blah, blah, blah. And even they know that they're going to get fucked. Because if we don't have money, how are they going to make money? Who's supposed to make money when nobody got any? How many Amazon Prime accounts? Who's going to be buying shit from Walmart? Nobody, because we don't have anything. Businesses will have to close. This whole place will shut down. It'll be a financial collapse like we've never seen. And I hate saying that like that because that's the term he uses. I can't believe he ruined terms and words like that. We got to keep an eye out. Pay attention to what's going on with the dollar. Let's talk about how many people are currently leaving this situation. We know China's giving Iran details. We know China's backing them up. We know everybody right now is backing them up. According to almost every single outlet, including the ones worldwide, he's already made two giant mistakes, which I will talk about in a minute. All right. I love you guys. This wasn't supposed to be that long, but I will come back in a couple of minutes and have a discussion on the last couple of meetings that he had and why we have to pay attention to other news outlets because these can't be trusted. Not that he could, but they definitely can't be trusted anymore. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.